At your funeral, what do you want people to say about you? He was always so well dressed. Or he was such a great guy. He had so much money. Perhaps they will say he was a great lover of fine wines, or he was just so good at Monopoly. Now, these are all good things, but they are not what make us good human beings. Even if they say at our funeral, he was a great gardener or a superb painter, he was a composer of genius, these too are good things. But these things are not what make us good human beings. If we want to know what would, then we can come back to that initial question. At your funeral, what do you want people to say about you? Perhaps we hope they would say something like, she was very wise, she was fair-minded, or he always loved others and did everything in his power to help those who were in need. Now, we are able to say that these are amongst the many things that make human beings good because we all share a common human nature. Because of this nature, we can say that there are things that are bad for us, and there are things that are good for us because they lead to our flourishing. Just as we need food, drink, and sleep if we are to flourish, so too in the moral life, the actions we make, there are things that lead to our flourishing. And we call these virtues. A virtue is a good habit. It's good because it helps us act well, choosing the right way to act, the right thing to do in particular situations. Virtue is not something that exists in the abstract. It's something we practice in particular situations over a lifetime, and this forms our character. But to cultivate virtue, we need two things: guidance and grace. I'm going to focus on the role of guidance. Our culture's tendency to understand freedom solely as personal autonomy has led us to forget that we are invited to another, deeper freedom. If we take up this invitation, we do not have to choose between being good or being happy, but rather, by acting virtuously, we can become both good and happy. Guidance in the moral life has another name, and this is where rules and the moral law come in. Rules, moral law. Don't those words sound restrictive? Now, they can sound restrictive to us, especially when most people, including so many Catholics, have lost faith in the moral credibility of the Church. Like any laws, the Church's teachings on the moral life are restrictive in some ways, but they free us up to live well, in short, to lead a life that is virtuous. No one would describe a person characterized by unlimited indulgence in an appetite, whether it be for food, drink, money, or sex, as flourishing. And that's why all human communities, from the family to the state, have regulated these things in some way. Think of a pianist. Aren't you glad that, generally speaking, pianists play with their fingers rather than their fists? That they generally play in time, that they practice before they perform that difficult piece of Mozart at the proms? Well, each of us is just like that pianist. Because we have a human nature that is given to us, whether we like it or not, we cannot decide all the rules which govern our behavior ourselves. We need guidance, we need practice, and we need to learn from our mistakes. This is where moral laws, rules come in. So therefore, the church's moral teaching, guidance on how we should act, is not arbitrary, but is rooted in who and what we are. Human beings, made for relationships and made for happiness. And unlike the pianist, who is exceptional and amazes others, in the moral life, no one is called to be a mere spectator. Everyone is called to greatness. Everyone is called to live virtuously. Why? The answer is simple: so that we can be happy. And so that we can flourish in the deepest and fullest way imaginable. The church gives us a roadmap for happiness, which does not just guide us here and now, but culminates in the life of heaven, where all happiness is fulfilled and perfected. Jesus himself says it in today's gospel: if your virtue goes no deeper than the scribes and the Pharisees, then you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Will we embark on this adventure, or will we choose to remain at square one of the map? And this map of rules and virtues the church offers us doesn't just regulate our happiness as individuals, it also orders rightly the way we relate to each other, and therefore determines the happiness of our families and our societies and our communities as a whole. And that brings us back to where we started. At your funeral, what do you want people to say about you?